Right now, as you watch this video, time is passing, isn't it? No, time is not passing. Einstein saw this as geometry. Feynman saw it as probability. Both told you the same lie in different languages. Princeton. Einstein stands at a blackboard, chalk in hand, drawing a line. Time is a dimension, like space. It moves, it bends, but there is no flow. This is not philosophy. This is mathematical certainty. California Institute of Technology. Feynman looks at Einstein's equations and laughs. Einstein wants time to be elegant, beautiful geometry. But nature doesn't care about Einstein's aesthetics. What is time? I don't know. Physics measures time, but it cannot tell you what it is. Maybe it's nothing at all. Two geniuses, two egos, and they both think the other one is missing the point. Your brain is lying to you. Now, an experiment. Close your eyes. Actually close them. Now open them. Did time pass? Your brain says yes, because your memory created a difference between two moments. But according to Einstein, those two moments are still there. Your past exists somewhere. The you before you closed your eyes still exists, just in a different coordinate. Feynman is more brutal. Time is not an arrow. In the quantum world, a particle can send messages from future to past. Cause and effect? A story, not real. Be honest, you're uncomfortable now, aren't you? Einstein's proof is relativity. If two people move at different speeds, time passes differently for them. Twin brothers. One goes to space, traveling near the speed of light. When he returns, his brother has aged, but he is still young. For which one did real time pass? Feynman's proof is stranger. The quantum eraser experiment. A photon goes through two slits. You measure which slit it went through afterward, and the photon's past changes. The future is changing the past. There is no arrow of time, only your narrative. Einstein and Feynman reached the same conclusion from different paths. Time is not a property of the universe. Time is a property of your brain. The human brain creates past and future because entropy increases. But in physics laws, there is no arrow of time. It can go forward, it can go backward. So the moment you are living right now exists only for you. Einstein's now is different from yours. Feynman's now doesn't exist at all. A clock is ticking, but the universe is not counting. Einstein said, time is an illusion. Feynman said, time is measurement. Both are right, and this just erased your existence. Next episode, if time is an illusion, who are you? You remember your childhood, your first day of school, your first love, your worst mistake. But that person wasn't you. Einstein proved it mathematically. Feynman proved it experimentally, and both were terrified of what they found. Einstein is dying. He tells his friend, the distinction between past, present, and future is only a stubbornly persistent illusion. But here's what he didn't say. If past and future don't exist, then the person you were yesterday is still frozen in that coordinate. And the person you'll be tomorrow already exists somewhere else. You are not one self. You are a sequence of selves. Feynman saw this differently. He didn't care about Einstein's elegant universe. He looked at particles. An electron doesn't have a history. It has all possible histories simultaneously, until you measure it. Then he applied this to you. If an electron doesn't have one history, why do you think you do? Your brain replaces every cell every 7 years. The atoms that made you 10 years ago are not in your body anymore. They're scattered across the planet. Some are in trees, some are in other people, some are in the ocean. So who is remembering your past? Einstein's answer, the you at this space-time coordinate is accessing information from other coordinates. Like reading a book. The book exists, but you are not the book. Feynman's answer is more aggressive. Memory is a quantum state. Every time you remember something, you recreate it. You don't access the past, you generate a new past. Your childhood memory from today is not the same as your childhood memory from yesterday. You are not remembering your life, you are constantly inventing it. Here's where they clashed. Einstein believed in determinism. Your path through space-time is fixed. Every version of you exists eternally in the block universe. You are all of them simultaneously. Feynman believed in probability. Until the moment of observation, you are all possible yous. Schrödinger's person. The moment you observe yourself, you collapse into one identity. But before that, you were everyone you could have been. Einstein called this absurd. God does not play dice with the universe. I am me, I was me, I will be me. Feynman responded in a lecture, and his words were cutting. Maybe God does play dice, and maybe you're just the result of one throw. Who won this argument? Neither, because they were both describing different aspects of the same horror. There is no continuous you. There is only the illusion of continuity. Your consciousness is not a thing. It's a process, a story your brain tells itself to create coherence. Einstein's contribution. That story exists across all of space-time. Every moment of your consciousness is a frozen snapshot in the block universe. Feynman's contribution. That story is probabilistic. Before you observe yourself thinking, you are in superposition of all possible thoughts. Together, they reveal something darker. The self you defend, the identity you cling to, the person you think you are. It's a narrative, not a fact, a useful fiction. And here's the final blow. If your past self doesn't exist anymore, and your future self doesn't exist yet, then right now, who is watching this video? Einstein wanted time to be eternal. Feynman wanted it to be meaningless. Both realized identity is the same. You are not a person traveling through time. You are time's way of experiencing itself, temporarily. Next episode. If you don't exist, what are you looking at? The reality illusion. You think you're watching a video, on a screen, in a room, in a universe that exists independent of you. Einstein spent his life proving the universe is real. Feynman spent his life proving you can't know what's real. They were both right. And that should terrify you. Einstein writes a paper. It's called EPR, and it's designed to destroy quantum mechanics. His argument is simple. If quantum mechanics says a particle doesn't have a definite position until you measure it, then reality depends on observation. This is absurd. The moon exists whether you look at it or not. Feynman reads this paper. He doesn't argue, he demonstrates. He shows that two particles can be entangled. You measure one particle here. Instantly the other particle changes state across the universe. No signal, no delay. Instantaneous. Einstein called this spooky action at a distance. He thought it proved quantum mechanics was incomplete. But experiments proved Einstein wrong. Entanglement is real. Reality is not independent of observation. The universe you see is not the universe that exists. Or maybe, and this is worse, the universe only exists when you see it. Your eyes don't show you reality. They show you useful fiction. You see colors, but photons have no color. Color is your brain's code for wavelength. You see solid objects, but atoms are 99% empty space. You see a stable world, but everything is vibrating quantum fields. Einstein knew this. He said, reality is merely an illusion, albeit a very persistent one. Feynman went further. He said, I think I can safely say that nobody understands quantum mechanics. If you think you understand it, that proves you don't. Translation: the universe is not showing you its true face. It's showing you an interface, like icons on a computer screen. You click on a trash icon and you think you're dragging a little bin. But behind the interface, there's voltage and circuits and binary code. The icon is useful, but it's not real. Einstein's universe is one interface: smooth geometry, curved space-time. elegant equations. It works for big things: stars, galaxies, black holes. Feynman's universe is a different interface: probability clouds, wave functions, uncertainty. It works for small things: electrons, photons, quarks. Neither interface is reality. Both are translation layers between what exists and what your brain can process. Here's where their conflict became philosophical warfare. Einstein believed in objective reality. There is a universe out there. It has definite properties. Your observation reveals those properties. It doesn't create them. Feynman believed observation creates properties. Before you measure an electron's position, it doesn't have one. It exists in all positions simultaneously. Your measurement forces it to choose. Einstein found this repulsive. He said, "Do you really believe the moon isn't there when you're not looking at it?" Feynman's response was devastating. "I'm not talking about the moon, I'm talking about electrons. And yes, the electron isn't there when you're not looking. We've tested this. You're wrong." Decades of experiments proved Feynman right. Bell's theorem, the delayed choice quantum eraser, the double-slit experiment, all of them show the same horror. The act of observation changes what is being observed. Not because you disturb it physically, but because there is no it until you look. Reality is not a thing you discover. Reality is a thing you participate in creating. So what is actually out there? Einstein's answer: space-time, a four-dimensional geometric structure. You are a pattern in this structure. The pattern exists whether you observe it or not. Feynman's answer: wave functions, probability amplitudes, mathematical descriptions of what might happen. They collapse into definite events only when measured. Both answers lead to the same disturbing conclusion. What you call reality is a model your brain builds from limited information. The real universe, if there even is one, operates on principles your brain cannot visualize. You are not in the universe. You are a process the universe uses to observe itself. And the moment you observe, you change what you're observing. This is not philosophy. This is verified experimental fact. Einstein hated it. Feynman accepted it. Neither could escape it. Einstein wanted reality to be absolute. Feynman proved it was participatory. The universe is not a stage you walk on. The universe is a conversation you're having. And you can't step outside the conversation to see what's really there. Next episode: if reality is participatory, what is consciousness? The final illusion. You are conscious right now. You are aware that you are aware. You experience this moment as real. Einstein couldn't explain consciousness. Feynman refused to try, and both knew that consciousness might be the final illusion that can never be broken. Physics can explain everything: mass, energy, space, time, quantum fields, black holes, the beginning of the universe. But physics cannot explain why you feel anything at all. Einstein knew this. Late in his life he wrote, "I want to know how God created this world. But if consciousness is part of that creation, I am looking at the very thing I'm trying to understand with." This is the hard problem. You can study neurons, you can map brain activity, you can correlate thoughts with electrical patterns. But nowhere in those neurons is there an explanation for why those patterns feel like something. Feynman was more brutal about this failure. In a lecture, someone asked him to explain consciousness. His response was immediate: "I can't. Nobody can. Consciousness is not a physics problem. It's not even a science problem. It might be the only thing science will never solve. Because the tool we use to solve problems is the very thing we're trying to understand." For once, Einstein and Feynman agreed on something. Consciousness is outside the system, and that makes it impossible to study from inside. Imagine a perfect copy of you. Same atoms, same neural structure, same behavior, same words, but completely unconscious. A philosophical zombie. From the outside, this zombie is identical to you, but inside there's nothing. No experience, no awareness, just mechanical response. Einstein would say this zombie is impossible. He believed in determinism. If the physical structure is the same, consciousness must emerge. It's a property of organized matter. Feynman would say the zombie might be possible, or it might not be. But more importantly, you can never know. You can't measure consciousness from outside. You can only experience it from inside. And here's the disturbing part. You can't even prove other people are conscious. You assume they are because they behave like you. But their consciousness is not observable, not testable, not provable. For all you know, you are the only conscious thing in the universe. Everyone else might be zombies, perfectly convincing, totally empty. This is called solipsism, and neither Einstein nor Feynman could refute it. They just chose to ignore it because the alternative was madness. Quantum mechanics requires an observer, someone or something that collapses the wave function, something that turns probability into reality. But what is an observer? Is a human an observer? Yes. Is a cat an observer? Maybe. Is a bacterium an observer? Unclear. Is a rock an observer? Probably not. Where do you draw the line? Einstein hated this question. He wanted physics to be independent of consciousness. The universe exists whether anyone is watching or not. Consciousness is irrelevant to the laws of physics. Feynman saw the problem differently. He said, it doesn't matter what consciousness is. What matters is that observation changes the system, and we can measure that change. The philosophical question of what observes is not physics, it's metaphysics. But experiments kept pushing the question. The delayed choice quantum eraser, the Wigner's friend paradox. Every experiment suggested the same thing. Consciousness is not separate from physical reality. It's woven into the fabric of quantum measurement. You can't remove the observer from the equation without breaking the theory. And that means the universe might be conscious in some way we don't understand. Or consciousness might be what the universe does when it looks at itself. Or there is no consciousness at all, just information processing that feels like something for reasons beyond physics. None of these answers satisfy. All of them terrify. Einstein spent his life searching for a unified theory, one equation to explain everything. He never found it. But even if he had, it wouldn't explain consciousness. Feynman spent his life calculating probabilities. He could predict particle behavior to 12 decimal places, but he couldn't predict a single moment of subjective experience. Both men realized something at the end of their lives. Physics is complete as physics. It can explain everything that happens, but it cannot explain what it's like for something to happen. The redness of red, the painfulness of pain, the you-ness of you. These are not physics problems, they are consciousness problems, and consciousness might be the one thing that exists entirely outside the mathematical structure of the universe. Or consciousness might be the mathematical structure experiencing itself, and you are a temporary window through which the universe looks back at its own existence. Either way, you will never know, because knowing requires consciousness, and consciousness is the thing you're trying to understand. Einstein wanted to remove the observer from physics. Feynman accepted the observer but refused to define it. Both left consciousness as an unsolved mystery. Maybe consciousness is the only real thing. Maybe it's the only illusion. Maybe the question itself is meaningless. Final episode, the synthesis. Where Einstein and Feynman finally agree. Einstein saw order, Feynman saw chaos. Einstein wanted certainty, Feynman embraced uncertainty. They spent decades disagreeing, but they were both describing the same thing. And what they described destroyed every assumption you have about existence. Einstein writes a letter to a friend. The friend's son has just died. Einstein tries to offer comfort. His words are strange. People like us, who believe in physics, know that the distinction between past, present and future is only a stubbornly persistent illusion. Your son still exists, just not in this moment. This is Einstein's final position. Time is illusion. Death is illusion. Separation is illusion. Everything that ever happened still exists in the eternal structure of space-time. 3 decades after Einstein's death, someone asks Feynman what happens when we die. Feynman's answer echoes Einstein's letter, but from a different angle. When you die, the atoms that made you scatter. They become part of other things, trees, air, other people. In that sense, nothing is ever truly lost. It just transforms into different patterns. Same conclusion, different language. Einstein spoke in geometry, Feynman spoke in particles, but both were saying the same thing. You are not separate from the universe, you are a temporary pattern the universe makes, and patterns don't die, they just change shape. Niels Bohr, who watched Einstein and Feynman's debate from the middle, had a word for this: complementarity. Light is a wave, light is a particle. Both are true, both are necessary. Neither is complete alone. You need both descriptions to understand light. Einstein's universe and Feynman's universe are complementary. Einstein gives you the big picture: smooth spacetime, elegant geometry, deterministic flow. This works for stars, galaxies, black holes, the classical universe. Feynman gives you the small picture: quantum jumps, probability clouds, uncertainty. This works for electrons, photons, atoms, the quantum universe. Neither description is wrong, neither is complete. Reality requires both. Here's where it gets deeper. The classical universe emerges from the quantum universe. Einstein's smooth geometry is what Feynman's probability clouds look like when you zoom out. Order emerges from chaos at scale. But the quantum universe is embedded in the classical universe. Feynman's particles move through Einstein's curved spacetime. Chaos operates within order's framework. They are not opposites. They are two perspectives on one reality, like seeing a cube from different angles. Both views are real. Both are incomplete. What did Einstein and Feynman both discover? That reality is relational. Nothing has properties in isolation. Everything only has properties in relation to something else. Einstein proved this with relativity. Your speed only makes sense relative to someone else. Your time only makes sense relative to someone else's time. There is no absolute reference frame. Everything is relationship. Feynman proved this with quantum mechanics. A particle only has a position when measured relative to something else. Its momentum only exists in relation to an observer. There is no absolute state. Everything is interaction. Same principle, different scales. But here's the final synthesis. If everything is relational, then the observer is not separate from what's being observed. You are not outside the universe looking in. You are part of the system observing itself. Einstein's spacetime is not a container you live in. You are a pattern in spacetime. Feynman's quantum fields are not things you measure. You are quantum fields measuring themselves. The universe is not a place where consciousness happens. The universe is what happens when certain patterns become complex enough to be aware of their own existence. You are not in the universe. You are the universe, temporarily experiencing itself from one particular angle. This should be terrifying. Time is illusion. Self is illusion. Reality is observer-dependent. Consciousness is unexplainable. But Einstein and Feynman both found something else in this realization. Not terror, liberation. If you are not separate from the universe, then you cannot truly die. The pattern changes, but the substance remains. You were never a separate thing that could be lost. If time is illusion, then every moment you've ever experienced still exists. Nothing is truly gone. The past is as real as the present. Your entire life is a permanent structure in space-time. If reality is observer-dependent, then you are not passive. You are active. You don't just witness the universe, You participate in creating it with every observation. Einstein's last words were about this. He said, "I have done my share. It is time to go. I will do it elegantly." Feynman's last words were different, but meant the same thing. "I'd hate to die twice. It's so boring." Both men faced death without fear, because they understood something most people never learn. Death is a change of pattern, not an ending. The atoms continue. The information persists. The universe doesn't lose anything. It just rearranges. Einstein wanted to know God's thoughts. Feynman wanted to know nature's rules. They discovered the same thing from opposite directions. There is no separation between knower and known, no boundary between observer and observed, no difference between the pattern and the universe. You are physics becoming aware of itself, temporarily, locally, imperfectly, but really. That is what Einstein and Feynman both saw, and once you see it, you cannot unsee it.